The horrific scenes in Afghanistan since the Allies' ill-conceived and catastrophic departure reflect a humanitarian crisis, a betrayal of the Afghani people, and a major blow to stability in the region. They represent a more unstable world and a major defeat for the Western values of freedom, human decency and peace. All of this has happened on the watch of bumbling President Joe Biden, who worryingly has another 3 years to serve. Can we afford another 3 years of this? This famously mask-loving president has now shown his true face. The mask has slipped, and the halo with it. Joe Biden has gone from being the wokest president ever to, in my view, the worst president ever, demonstrating a colossal failure of political and moral leadership by throwing the good people of Afghanistan to the wolves and gifting China and Russia a huge strategic advantage in the Middle East. Good luck spearheading that push for electric vehicles in the West, when a large amount of the world's lithium deposits sit beneath Afghani soil. The Chinese Communist Party will be salivating at the thought of getting their hands on all of those precious minerals. Meanwhile, our own holiday-loving Foreign Secretary, the new Judith Chalmers, Dominic Do Not Disturb Raab, could barely drag himself away from his sun lounger and Stephen King's latest page-turner to address this ensuing crisis. Well, this was a true horror story. As it's speculated, the Foreign Secretary failed to intervene to help save translators and help them to get out of the country. Now, presumably, he's happy to use his phone to book a massage or order room service, but what about rescuing civilians? It's all about priorities. His decision to stay at his 5-star Cypriot hotel resort, topping up his tan and helping himself to the all-inclusive buffet is a reflection of a wider complacency towards Afghanistan in both the UK and America and across the Western world. That fragile peace, fought over 2 decades, had been achieved at the expense of so much, including almost 500 British lives. And for what? We let it go with the stroke of a pen. Unforgivable. Asleep at the wheel, Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, Dominic Raab, and all are culpable for this sorry tale. Joe Biden added insult to injury with that non-press conference earlier in the week, in which he defended his actions, blamed others, and took no questions. Here he is, leaving the press conference and ignoring journalists.
Thank you. May God protect our troops, our diplomats, and all brave Americans serving in harm's way.
Well, you know, it's hard to answer questions without a script in front of you, isn't it? That disastrous appearance was surpassed in its idiocy and hubris by an interview he later gave to ABC News, which was heavily edited by a friendly media. How surprising. To remove parts of the interview where he literally forgot where his son Beau served in action and for which part of the military. For Iraq, he said Afghanistan, and for the army, he said the Navy. If your son had risked his life abroad, surely you'd remember where he'd served and with whom. Notwithstanding his cognitive confusion, this is a guy, don't forget, that can't remember what he's had for breakfast. He doubled down on his position. I say Joe Biden has vacated not just the territory of Afghanistan, but the moral high ground too. He and the senior leadership of the Democratic Party in the United States have blood on their hands and have shown no empathy to the Afghans who stood up for Western values and have now been abandoned. It's so strange, isn't it? I thought the Democrats were all such lovely people. I believed Gary Lineker, for example, famous expert on world politics, when he tweeted this. The world, he wrote, feels like a slightly better, kinder place today. That was on the day of Biden and Harris's inauguration. Well, it wasn't to be. Politics, not common sense or empathy, have prevailed, with Biden clearly keen to exit the region ahead of the 9/11 20-year anniversary and with an eye on the midterm elections. Well, it's clear to me that Joe Biden is toast. What a pathetic figure he cut at Camp David this week. This image, shared by the White House, showing just how isolated and out of touch he has become. Extraordinary stuff. It was an amazing image of him sat in front of a bunch of screens, possibly looking for CBeebies. He didn't even respond to our Prime Minister's request for a call. So much for the special relationship. We will pay the price for this decision for years, if not decades to come. On Biden's watch, the West have waved the white flag and surrendered. There's really only one winner tonight, and he's playing golf in Mar-a-Lago in Florida as we speak. Joe Biden has destroyed his own presidency and gifted the next one to Donald J. Trump. The events of the last week have, in my view, been a disaster for both America and the world. So I say, overthrow Sleepy Joe. He's got to go. This is GB News.